Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video review for the Sennheiser HDER175. So this is a really nice wireless headset. My wife actually bought this for me as a gift, but I've been very impressed with it. I tend to be a little bit of an audiophile. I really just enjoy having wherever I am, whether or not it's in the car, the computer, using a headset, having really good audio quality. So I wanted to go through this because this is actually designed for something that you could use as someone that's maybe a gamer, or you're just listening to music at your computer, or if you want to actually hook this up to like a sound system within your house. Maybe you're in an environment where you need to be quiet, but you'd really like to watch a movie. This is actually perfect for that. So we'll kind of go through the features, talk about the unit, pretty straightforward. You have this base station that the actual headset resides on. In terms of the functionality, right now I have it charging, so as you can see, we have a red LED for that. It will show that you can change the surround sound settings of the actual headset from low to high or off, and then you have an extra bass boost button here that you can push, and you'll really be able to tell them how much extra bass is coming through the unit depending on what it is that you're listening to. If the unit's powered on, this light will turn green. And in terms of connectivity, we have a pretty basic, straightforward setup here. You have a yellow wire, which is your power. This actually has a pretty long cord. You can see I'm running it right into the wall here, so it does go pretty far, which is really nice. And then you have the option to go with analog. You have a selector here, so you can choose between analog or your optical in. Now I've used both of these, and honestly, I don't really notice too much of a difference in quality. I think for most people, they'd probably say that optical in might be a little bit better than analog, but honestly, it sounds great with either option. Now, in terms of configuring this, really all you're going to do is select the audio input. I actually just went and plugged in analog because hooking this up to a laptop computer over there, and I don't have the option of utilizing optical because there's nothing built into the laptop, whereas if I was using like a desktop computer with a sound card, I'd probably utilize optical in. So it's great that they have both of these options, and you can use any standard analog cable to do this. The good thing with laptops in this case is I do have a little analog port there on the left side that you can see it's plugged into, over next to my water bottle, next to the USB stick. There. That gives me the option to use analog with this, and honestly, probably just about any device. So, in terms of the audio quality of these, I'll get into that in a second. But I do want to, talk about the headset itself. So when you take this off the base, you do see there's 3 little pins here in the bottom, and then there's 3 on the top of the unit. Usually, it's pretty easy moving this on and off the unit. You basically just make sure it's on here, hook it in, and you can see it's already charging. So this isn't hard to take on or off. That's one thing I like about it. I'm not like plugging in cables or doing other things. You basically just rest it on top of this and it sits very nicely on this base station. So anytime I want to use it, I basically just take the unit. You have a power button here. You hold this down and it'll take a second. This will light up green, and now you can see we're on low surround. Bass boost is on, and then the unit itself is actually on here with the green. So we're basically ready to go on the side of the unit. And this is one thing I almost wish that, with other headsets, they usually have like a dial or something that you can spin for the volume. This actually has buttons for both the bass, the surround, and the plus or minus for your volume. Of course, If you're using a computer, if you're just sitting at the PC, you could just go into the Windows taskbar and start, changing the sound there. That's usually what I would do with something like this. But if you're watching a movie, you're going to have to use these buttons. So that's probably a little bit of a con for me. But again, very minor. I've worn these for literally hours playing games at the PC and have not had any issues with comfort where like my ears are starting to hurt or I'm feeling discomfort. So from a comfort standpoint, they're very, very good. You have adjustable pieces on both the left and the right, of course, where you can move these up or down with small incremental notches. So, this is probably going to work for just about anybody depending on, your head size. You're not really going to have too many issues here. You've got some nice pads at the top. And then I believe if you did ever have a problem with these, you can find replacements for them. I've never had to replace them, as you can see. They're in great shape, and I've now had this going on probably 2 years, so really, really nice. In terms of the headset itself, very comfortable. Now, I'm sure what you really want to know is, what is the sound quality like? Well, first off, I'll say that the bass on this is absolutely amazing. It's probably better than any headset that I've listened to that I can recall. That's of this caliber. You also got wireless capability, so the pros there that you could move around right. You could be listening to music and get up off the computer and go walk far away. I'll give a quick example. We're actually in a pretty large, this is like an in-law apartment we have up in my house here, and I'll walk all the way down to those doors, play some music, and you'll see that these will actually still continue to work 100% clear. Maybe I'll even go in the other room down there, and this thing has insane range. You can also go on multiple floors, through ceilings, through walls, and it'll still work. So, from a range perspective, I've never had any issues. So, I'll actually play some music. Just gonna play some like old school Korn here. So, they're actually cranking now, and again, it's not super, super loud. Obviously because, we don't have them on our head, but you guys can hear this music coming out of it, and I'll walk all the way down, far away, just to give an example of the range. I'm not gonna go super far, but in most cases, you're probably not gonna go much further than this, right? So, still playing 100% perfectly clear, no interruption of the sound, and, I've got to be a good, 40, 50 feet away, right? Really far away. The great thing about this is it'll work through, ceilings, walls. I've gotten up and ran down to a different floor, and this thing was still working. Now, the only con that I do want to point out is that if you have other devices in the house, there are occasions where you could end up with interference. I don't know specifically what it was, but in my home, in the last home I was living in, we had an issue where I think it was like my speaker system maybe utilized some sort of connectivity. That was, specific to that speaker setup, to the surround sound speakers, and that was giving me problems where I would intermittently have these cut out for like a brief period of time and then come back. And if that's happening while you're playing a PC game, like where you really need to be listening to sound, pretty much a no-go for me. So I ended up actually replacing these with another brand that was actually wired because I didn't want to deal with that problem. Now, if you're somewhere that you don't necessarily have a lot of interference, these will probably be a really good bet. There's no obviously guarantees of that. Generally, certain types of things that you have in your home that could cause interference, a lot of them can actually be changed or modified. You could, in theory, maybe change the signal as to where that's coming from. I do not believe, one of the things that I think that actually could have been a big culprit for me was that I had my router literally sitting only literally feet away from this end. I tried going with different channels and things like that, but because there's so many different devices connecting, that I think it was causing a lot of interference. So now I'm in a place where the router's really not near here. In fact, it's in the Holder building basically across the street now. So if you're in a situation where maybe your router's just sitting on your desk and you're going to be using this, I think that was, if I remember correctly, probably my biggest culprit. So that might be something to consider. But again, that's going to be something to consider with any wireless device or unit that you're going to be using. Any wireless headset, right? It wouldn't be specific to just this unit. So other than that, that was like my only real con. But that was kind of more very situational. I really love this unit. I think it's well worth the money. It sounds really amazing for movies because we're listening to like an action movie. Like I was listening to, I was watching like the Avengers the other night with this and the bass, and just all the effects of all the sound, all the craziness that's happening. It's even better than almost listening to like a really good surround system because it's just right in your ear. So yeah, I do highly recommend it. The great thing about it is you obviously got all your connectivity options. If you want to take something like this, you know, we have like a TV setup over here. You could have the bass station like sitting on a table, or I could put it on this top shelf, just take the headset off whenever I want to use it, and I'd be ready to go, and then I can watch movies with it plugged into the optical input in the sound bar. So anyway, that's what I have to say about this really nice unit. If you guys decide to pick it up, I'll leave a link below where you can grab this on Amazon. You guys will pay the same. But earn a small commission, and that definitely helps me out. So thanks for watching the video and hope you enjoyed it.